Question: are we demonizing and alienating people who choose to find jobs at voices.com or Fiverr? Someone new to voiceovers posted this on Facebook. A couple of days ago, I posted on another voiceover Facebook group I'm on about some success I was having on voices.com as a very new talent, trying to share my experience so others could know what to expect when it comes to their algorithm for doling out auditions. One of the commentators suggested that voices.com has bad business practices and that I should be avoiding them. A fair comment, and I responded saying that yes, I was aware, but was using them to get my bearings and learn how to do this job before sinking thousands into demos. I don't have any demos yet. The entire thread got derailed, and she went on to call me a shill/propagandist for voices.com. The thread was then deleted, and the useful info I was trying to share for people using voices.com got lost. I'm reminded by this of Karen Gilfrey's comments on the podcast episode about Fiverr and how gatekeepers aren't doing the industry any favors by demonizing people who are using some of the less than top-notch platforms. I don't want to be working at the bottom forever. I hope to move up quickly to better paying jobs on more reputable platforms, but I'm grateful for people like Karen who understand that there are many ways to get started and that we can't prevent a slide into lower wages by voiceovers ostracizing the people who are willing to do it, but rather by helping them improve to the point that they know they're worth more. And that's the end of the quote. Now, first of all, kudos to this talent for wanting to help others by sharing her experience using voices.com. I remember when I got started many, many years ago, I don't think Facebook was even a thing or existed. Yes, I'm that old. And I would have loved to have some advice on how to break into this almost impenetrable business. Secondly, the writer is aware of voices.com's reputation, but is choosing to use the platform anyway. Thousands and thousands of people are doing the same thing, and that's how voices.com stays in business, posting $1,000 jobs for $500 and pocketing the difference. That's like saying, I know Roundup weed killer poisons my garden and kills pollinators, but I'll use it anyway because it works for me. Or, I don't like what the NRA stands for, but I'll record a voiceover for them so I can pay my bills. Mind you, good people can do very good work in a very bad environment. They are not responsible for that environment, but they're enabling it to grow. They're keeping it alive and thus become complicit. This colleague then says, I was aware but was using them to get my bearings and learn how to do this job before sinking thousands into demos. That's a justification I've heard so many times with thousands of people. I don't like what this company is doing, what Voices.com is doing, but I'm using them to get started. And pay-to-plays are the first to lean into that narrative. They know that there aren't enough jobs on the platform to keep everybody happy, so the way they justify their annual fee is to say, you may not get the job, but at least you got the experience when you do an audition. Yeah, every time you fail to book a job, you've learned how not to do it. And since repetition is the mother of skill, the more you fail, the better you become at what you're not good at. Let me repeat that. The more you fail, the better you become at what you are not good at. Learning can only take place when you get in-depth feedback on your poor performance and when someone more experienced and skillful shows you how you can improve yourself. So did the kind people over at Voices.com ever give you any detailed insight as to why you didn't land all the jobs you auditioned for and paid for? And did they tell you any tips or give you any coaching that would increase your chances of doing well on the platform? She says, I was aware that I was using them to get my bearings and learn how to do this job before sinking thousands into demos. Now, I appreciate this person's honesty. She admits that she's using Voices.com to effectively learn on the job. Now, can you imagine a skier like Michaela Schifrin signing up for the Olympics so she can gain some experience? Or Dutch race car driver Max Verstappen showing up for a Grand Prix to just become familiar with his new car? No, these people are in it to win it. The purpose of using sites like Voices.com is to book jobs and make money. If you need on-the-job training, you're telling me you're not ready for the race. Would you ever hire an electrician to rewire your entire house? Someone who admits he's just trying to get his bearings? Or would you trust a surgeon to operate on your dear baby boy who admits that she needs more job experience? And what about clients? The clients who hire you, they expect you to know your job. They don't want you to experiment on their dime. That's not what they're paying you for. They might as well turn to AI, and that's what they're doing. Of course, you could argue that every new job is a learning experience, but that's where you refine the skills you're already supposed to possess. If you don't think you have what it takes and you need more time to become good at what you do, your priority should be coaching and not leaving bad impression after bad impression on pay-to-plays. Why is this such a hard concept to understand, and why are people like me who bring this up seen as discouraging or demonizing and alienating newbies? Contrary to what some people believe, I'm not a nasty person. I've been supporting new talent since my very first blog post many, many years ago. Now, this may be a stretch for some, but when I buy an expensive ticket to a classical concert, I expect to be wowed. I'm not paying for a pianist who's learning on the job. But Paul, isn't that a bit extreme? No, it's not. The voiceover business and many other businesses in which creative freelancers are active is not an equal opportunity business. It is not. For one, people are not equally talented. The fact that one person is naturally good at something and the other isn't is unfair, and it cannot be fixed. Secondly, there isn't room for everyone. To quote an ancient book, many are called, but few are chosen. At the Curtis Institute of Music, one of the best in the world, if not the best, the admission rate is a generous 4%. And who knows what percentage of graduates will go on to the big stages and have a sustainable career? By the way, all the students at Curtis are learning and learning and learning before they audition to get that job at the New York Philharmonic, for which they have to compete with hundreds of equally talented and passionate applicants who all believe they deserve a shot. If you're a new voice actor, you may not like what you're hearing, but I'm not one of those people who is trying to sell you a dream so I can make some money off of you. In my book, that is unethical. That's taking advantage of people. Now, back to my colleague who wrote, I was aware of voices.com, but was using them to get my bearings and learn how to do this job before sinking thousands into demos. Her priorities, the priorities are where they need to be. Get your bearings first before investing money in things like demos. However, I don't like the words sinking thousands into demos. Does that sound positive or negative to you? When you sink, you literally go under and you may drown in debt. Why did this person say investing thousands into demos? The words we unconsciously choose reveal a lot about a person's mindset and attitude. My wife, as you may know, is a professional flutist and piano teacher, and she was ready for a new instrument. A quality instrument makes your job easier, and if you advertise yourself as a pro, people don't expect you to show up with a $500 beginner flute, right? So in fact, my wife's new flute was handcrafted from pure gold and made to fit her fingers. It costs as much as a nice car, but it's even more valuable because no instrument in the world is like it. So whenever I hear aspiring voiceovers complain about the cost of being in business, I have to laugh. Have they looked at the cost of tuition at a reputable university or college lately, and at the debt people are left with when they graduate? Now compare that to the cost of setting up a simple home studio for voiceover purposes. You buy a mic, a preamp, a headset, and you get some coaching, and you're doing a few seminars. Now before you say that getting started in voiceovers is expensive, ask yourself, compared to what? And are you really sinking thousands into a demo if that's what helps you book job after job after job? In every profession there is a price to entry. My contractor had to buy a new van and replace all his power tools. You don't want to know how much he spent. He only did it because these things will pay for themselves many times over. But not if he's selling his services at rock bottom rates. He knows he has to run a for-profit business, otherwise he will sink in a sea of his own making. He also knows about the power of perception. He knows that low rates create the expectation of low quality, and that clients who nickel and dime are the most demanding and difficult to deal with. Now be honest. When you take a step back, is all of this news to you? Do you think I'm this nasty party pooper trying to rain on your voiceover parade? If that were true, you are the victim, and it makes me the problem. Remember the last paragraph this new voiceover wrote, and I quote, I'm reminded by this of Karen Gilfrey's comments on the podcast episode about Fiverr and how gatekeepers aren't doing their industry any favors by demonizing people who are using some of the less than top-notch platforms, unquote. I think she's talking about that one podcast Karen and Jamie Muffett recorded after I wrote about what Karen Gilfrey had said publicly about Fiverr at VO Atlanta. In my opinion, and I stress the word opinion, I thought Karin, as the vice president of NAVA, that's the National Association of Voice Actors, was cozying up too much to Fiverr. Something she later explained in the podcast was not the case. Since this was all started by me, I hope you'll forgive me that I take these comments personally. So 3 things: gatekeepers, demonizing, and not doing the industry any favors. A gatekeeper is like a bouncer. He or she controls access to something. In this case, I assume she means access to the entire voiceover industry, whatever that means. I didn't know I was this powerful. I didn't know I was this powerful. In fact, I didn't know there were any gates in this industry apart from lack of talent, lack of training, lack of connections, and a lack of financial resources. But those are all things I have no control over. As you're reading or listening to these words, I have no control over how they will land. That's on you, not on me. If you ask me, the pay-to-plays are the real gatekeepers, because if you don't pay, you won't play. And in some cases, the more you pay, the more you get to play. Now, when you demonize someone, you characterize them as evil or wicked, whether or not they actually are. When you use strong language like that, you better come up with solid proof to back it up. And if you can't, you are actually vilifying the gatekeeper you're accusing of demonizing others. And lastly, the phrase, doing the industry any favors. The trouble with vague language is that it can mean different things to different people. I take it to mean making a positive contribution to our field of work and my community. Listen, I don't think we're doing anyone any favors by not telling newcomers about the pitfalls, the dangers, and the difficulties that lie ahead. There are way too many people painting a positive, get-rich-quick picture, and they all want one thing: your hard-earned money. They all have something to sell and something to gain. You may not agree with how I see the voiceover industry. I don't even like the word industry. And you may not like the way I write or speak about certain people or companies, but you can ask yourself, what is my motive? What does Paul have to gain? What does he want from me? Am I trying to scare you so I can exploit your fear and inexperience to sell you my book, my products that I don't have, or my coaching services? Have I ever asked you for money? Do I want you to sign up for some kind of program that promises you to give you the edge in whatever? Am I hoping to boost my reputation by saying not so nice things about the VP of NAVA or the CEO of Voices.com? If that were the case, it totally backfired, since some people seem to think I am demonizing colleagues that are very well liked and who do amazing work for our community. Colleagues like Karin. Or am I simply a European, a sad European attention seeker in the United States who has failed in his profession and is fueled by bitterness and resentment, or is trying to discourage people who he sees as competition? Believe me, I've heard it all, many times over. Now, to begin with the last theory, Paul, the person who craves attention. You know, it might surprise you, but at heart, I am a shy introvert who would rather operate in the quietude of this secluded Vermont studio I'm in right now. I love what I do for a living. Life is sweet instead of bitter. And all the things I set out to do professionally, I have done with no regrets. It even took me risking my own life to do them. I don't believe in getting a leg up by putting other people down. In fact, I recently started the Good Mouth Mondays initiative, aimed at lifting unsung heroes in our community up by praising them in public. And frankly, I don't care about a thing like my reputation. That's only important to those with an ego the size of Texas, which I don't have. When I nearly died of a stroke while recording in my studio, what good was a reputation to me, I ask you? I don't need your admiration or your money to feel good about myself. As I said a few days ago even, I may not be a millionaire, but my life is rich in so many ways. I have enough, and I am enough. Most people who come to me for coaching are turned down, or they bail out once they read my terms and conditions, which clearly state that I cannot and will not guarantee any results. If you let me, I can help you become a better driver, but once you're on the road, you are on your own. So if those are not the reasons for sticking my neck out, what drives me to be such a nasty, demonizing gatekeeper who likes to alienate new talent, berating them for using Voices.com or Fiverr? If you were the smart CEO of a company and you had to select people for your management team, would you only pick people who agree with you? Yes men and yes women? Or would you welcome a diversity of opinions? Would you welcome people who have the guts to challenge you and make you think? People who are not afraid to find the flaws and point out the weaknesses, not to tear the plan down, but to make it stronger. Yes, those people may seem a pain in the neck at first, but they are not out to destroy your dreams, but to wake you up. They are there to tell you that some emperors are not wearing any clothes and that what sounds too good to be true is probably too good to be true. Well, guess what? One of those pesky people would be me. Not because I'm naturally nasty, but because I can't stand it when impressionable people are being sold a pipe dream, making them do more work for less money. To me, rates reflect respect. It's what we do as voiceovers. It's how we value that work. And when that respect is tossed aside and our work is devalued, I feel offended. Offended by cheap clients and by my colleagues who defend these rates saying, it's a free market, I can charge whatever I want. I want everyone to make at least a living wage in this country, preferably a whole lot more. Go ahead, hate me for that. I stick my neck out not to be a pain, but to empower people, not to attack them, but to strengthen them against the attacks from the predatorial pricks that think you don't deserve to be paid a fair fee. Now, do I believe I have all the answers and that I always speak the truth? No, I never claimed to share the truth with you. What can be true today may be outdated tomorrow. Look at how fast AI is developing. And am I a flawed human being who has lost part of his brain thanks to a stroke? Even though I may come across as someone who knows it all, I really don't, because like you, I am searching and searching for answers, and I make you part of my search. What I do is share my subjective opinion based on my life, my experience, and my expertise. I don't ask you to agree with me. All I ask of you is to give what I have to say some careful consideration and then make up your own mind. Our colleague on Facebook ends with, I don't want to be working at the bottom forever. I hope to move up quickly to better paying jobs on more reputable platforms. To be honest, I don't know who this person is or how she sounds professionally speaking, but if you want to move up, you need to surround yourself with people who are better than you are and who charge more than you do. Low-paying jobs don't challenge you to deliver value for money because there's barely any money involved. If you need experience, read to kids with cancer or senior citizens in nursing homes. It will enrich their life and yours in ways you never thought possible. And they can be, believe me, they can be a tough audience. Ask a preschool teacher or somebody who works for kids with cancer, or in a nursing home if you want to go there. You'll never feel more appreciated in your entire life when you do that. If what you have to offer is of high quality, don't you deserve more than beer money? If you need to prove to the IRS that you're running a professional business instead of engaging in a hobby, shouldn't you put the bar a little bit higher? I know this was a long sermon and I apologize, but as the son of a minister, I can blame my father. Thank you for hearing me out. I'm so glad we're connected. And if you have anything to say to me, any comments that you'd like to share, please do so. I look forward to hearing from you. Take care and hope to see you soon.